Hi there, parents. This is Deacon John Wilson. I'm the Education Enrichment Director for West Angeles Church, here to update you on a very important development in the student loan forgiveness plan by the Biden-Harris administration. I knew there'd be some legislative action on it right after the election, as I predicted, and I told you to hurry up and get in your applications. And sure enough, basically the headline is that it's been struck down by a federal court. Now, I'm going to take this slow because the media is already spinning lies about why it was struck down and that, it was struck down for political reasons. And because a lot of us don't understand how the law works in this country. And I'm going to try to make sure in this short video that you understand why it was struck down and what will happen in the immediate future. Okay? I've looked through several articles on that this morning, and I'll share with you. If you go on Google, you'll see a lot of what I'm talking about here. Just stand by for a moment here. Here's a series of articles, CNN and USA Today and Wall Street Journal. Usually I go to different places to look, but lately CNN has seemed to have the best handle on what's happening with this. They reported about the private lawsuits, about 15 or 20 against this already. And I don't want to go into that. That's highly too technical for this video. There were already those lawsuits, but the administration could have proceeded in lieu of those lawsuits. But unfortunately, or fortunately, however, I don't know how you look at this, probably unfortunately, although in my next video, I'll tell you why this could be a blessing in disguise. But let's continue on. What student loan borrowers need to know after federal court struck down. I have a link to this down below too, but here's a good article CNN has. What student loan borrowers need to know after a federal court struck down Biden's loan forgiveness program. All right. There's a good article here. I'm going to read the first couple of paragraphs. You can see them right on the screen here. You know me, I like to back everything up I talk to you about. Student loan borrowers are now waiting indefinitely to see if they'll receive debt relief under President Joe Biden's student loan forgiveness program. I don't know about indefinitely. I think probably you'll learn something the middle of next year. After a federal judge in Texas struck down the program Thursday, declaring it illegal. But this does pose an interesting issue. They had suspended payments through the end of the year, and now we're not going to learn to the middle of next year. What they might do is just extend the delay of payments to the middle of next year. I'll deal with what you should do about that in a future video, probably part 3. I'll deal with that. I'll try to get these out quickly. So the Department of Justice immediately appealed to the 5th U.S. Circuit. So the government appealed it this morning. That case will have to play out before the Biden administration can cancel any federal student loan debt under the program. Now, you will notice that none of this says anything about Republicans or Congress or any individual. And I'm seeing lies on Twitter and Facebook that the Republicans stopped it. I don't know what your political leanings are. I don't too much care about that here. But this seems to be a legal problem. So let's learn about it. While the Biden administration has faced several legal challenges, remember I told you that, so the student loan forgiveness program since it was announced August, the ruling on Thursday is the most significant setback, prompting the Department of Education to stop accepting applications for debt relief. And if you go in, if you're looking down below, you'll be able to click on this link here and you'll see that it's blocked online, okay? Actually, they say it's blocked. That's kind of not right. I guess you could say the courts did, but again, there's no political thing here. This is all not a very wise legal move. I think it will turn out by the Biden administration because they didn't do their homework. Either that or they just wanted the story that they were forgiving prior to the election. And that may have political implications, but I don't think so because the election's over now. Let's see, under the rules of the program, there would be loan forgiveness 10 and 20,000. Now, here's what I want to, you can read this for yourself, what happens now for borrowers. So I have to wait for the Fifth Circuit, of course. But I want to talk about the legal arguments. The Biden administration has argued that Congress granted the Secretary of Education the power to broadly discharge student loan debt in a 2003 law known as the HEROES Act. So they know they needed legislation, which was passed in the wake of the September 11th, terrorist attacks from 19 years ago is when we're looking at this law. The government's lawyers argue that the law allows the secretary to discharge the debt in the event of a national emergency, including the COVID-19 pandemic. Let's assume for purposes of argument that the pandemic is still going on, although I just checked and nobody died in the county last 2 days, and it's only 6 per week right now in the moving average. But the program is thus an unconstitutional exercise of Congress's legislative power and must be vacated, wrote Judge Mark Pittman. Of course, they put in here, he was nominated by President Trump, but he was approved by Congress in a 50-50 Congress. So, I'm sorry, he was nominated and approved by Congress. So people will say that, oh, it's Republican, it's Trump, but is it really? I mean, you'll see later that there are several Obama administration judges that upheld private stuff. So I think there's a legal problem. And whenever I see that, I always look at the Constitution, which you should too. And here's the Constitution, Article 1, Section 9, I think it's Clause 6. Look down here. No money shall be drawn from the treasury, but in consequence of appropriations made by law. So there's been no law passed by Congress about student loans. My next video, I talk about the law that should pass, because I'm in favor of conditional loan forgiveness. I've been saying that for a while. And if both parties can sit down and talk about it, I think we can get conditional loan forgiveness. But just a blanket forgiveness with no strings attached is where the problem is, I think, politically. But get back to the law. No money shall be drawn from the treasury, but a consequence of appropriations made by law. It's because the original founders didn't want the president to be a king and a ruler. When Trump was in, I didn't like it. I hate executive orders. I didn't like when Obama did it. I didn't like when Trump did it. Who else was? I didn't like when Bush did it. This stuff should go through Congress. So of course I don't like it when Biden did it. I don't think presidents should ever pass legislation as an executive order. Executive orders were to implement laws already passed by Congress, but that somebody's dragging their heels on. No money shall be drawn from the treasury, but in consequence of appropriations made by law, and a regular statement of accounts and receipts and expenditures of all public money shall be published from time to time. Some say that's going to be challenged too, because apparently people could sign up for loans and just get them without any kind of check or approval on their backgrounds, or that they really met the income requirement. And some believe that that could be a problem. Some also believe that we don't know who's going to be getting the money because there's a chance of frauding it by entering a name there's no ID asked for. So, but I think the main thing is that there can't be money taken from our treasury, our tax money, unless Congress approves it. Remember, we have a republic form of government, not Republican, guys. Come on. It's a democratic republic. It's not, doesn't mean the Democrat Party or the Republican Party. Let's calm down. It means that everything is done through representatives. All right, I wanted to really get that straight. You can read the rest of this article here. It's an excellent article because it goes on to say, in this country, look right here, we are not ruled by an all-powerful executive with a pen and a phone. It's not the way the United States works. This is why I think if the presidency was operated the way it should be, it's not that important who the president is. It's way more important who's in control of Congress if you follow the Constitution. There's another thing about the lawsuits, other suits filed, and they still could have gone ahead and issued money. They were planning to issue checks, issue a forgiveness of loans officially next month prior to the end of the year, but 26 million people have signed up. You'll find out when you read, but that has been stopped pending the ruling of the United States Court district courts of appeals, the District of Columbia. And it could, now they could appeal it. Say it loses there, it could be appealed to the Supreme Court. But I think the Supreme Court won't even hear the case. There's no need for them to get involved if it was turned down twice. They won't go and look at it on their own and change it. So they're gonna end up having to go to Congress, something they should have done earlier when they had the majority and had the leverage that they needed, the Democrats that is. But it still could happen. I think you still could have some form of loan forgiveness that will still be good for most of you. You may just have to do a few things as a condition. All right, I hope that helped about this loan forgiveness matter. If you have any questions, stick them in the comments below, or you can get a hold of me. You know how, if you're on my program. You can call the office at West Angeles, email me, you can text me, and you guys know how to get a hold of me. God bless.